Hi guys. Hello, hello, hello. How are you doing? Okay. I want to talk about something that I was actually blogging about this week. It was actually a blog post called What We Can Learn from a Soggy Rat. So let me explain why soggy rats are something that we want to think about when we're talking about changing our relationship with food. Um, what I was referring to was a study that's commonly done with psychology students and scientists in labs around the world, um, and it's usually done with rats, but sometimes it's done with college students, people who sign up for these tests. And basically, when it's done with rats, what usually happens is one rat is put into what they call a shuttle box, which is like a little box, and the floor of the box gives electric shocks, not like painful electric shocks, but unpleasant. And what happens is the rat's in there for a little bit. It's not enjoying the shocks on its feet, and it sees a little door opens up at the end of the shuttle box. It sees the door. It sees a way to escape. It makes its way over there through some hurdles, and it escapes. And what researchers find is that when that happens, its brain is flooded with dopamine as it learns that it has the power to escape these electric shocks. And it's filled with hope. It's filled with the understanding that it has agency over its experience, and it's a happy rat. A second rat is taken and put into a tank of water. Now, rats can swim, but they don't love it. So the rat is swimming and swimming, and there's no door in this tank. And so the rat swims and swims and swims, and what it finds is no matter how hard it swims and no matter how much it tries, it can't escape this tank of water. And after a long time and getting tireder and tireder, what researchers find is that the dopamine in that rat's brain plummets, and then the rat gives up and it just starts floating. And I know it's super sad, but actually that's not really the saddest part. The saddest part of this experiment, in my mind, is that when the soggy rat is taken out of the tank, the rat that has given up hope, and put into the shuttle box, even when it sees the little door open at the end, it often won't even go to the door. It just sits and takes the shocks because it has learned that it has no hope. And scientists call this, is actually a name for this phenomenon. It's called learned helplessness. Learned helplessness. This idea that when we've tried for something for so long, and we've tried and tried and tried, and nothing has ever worked, and we feel like we can never make any progress, we give up. Dopamine in the brain decreases, and we have this sense of hopelessness. And again, there's this coined phrase for it, this name for it in psychology called learned helplessness. And it's super sad. Now, there is a happy ending here, not so much for the rats, but when this study is done with humans, that we don't electrocute the humans or put them in water tanks because that's not allowed. But what they do when they're working with humans is they separate humans into two groups. They have one in a group. For both groups, they play a really loud and horrible and obnoxious noise. And one group, they give them the power to turn off the noise. So there's a panel of dials, and if they turn the right dials, the noise stops. And again, we see dopamine in the brain increase. They realize they have control. They can change this. They can get out of this. They can fix the problem, and they're happy. And if they are given subsequent tests to do, they keep looking for solutions. The other group of people listening to the horrible noise, also given a panel of dials. These dials do nothing. And no matter how many dials they try, no matter how many switches they flip, the noise will not stop. And eventually, after trying and flicking and spinning and twisting dials, and they realize there's nothing they can do, dopamine in the brain decreases, this learned helplessness takes effect, and they give up. And they will just start doing whatever it was they were doing, and they will just try and ignore the noise. And if given subsequent tests in other things, other areas, they will sort of give up. And there's this learned helplessness, this idea that I have no control, that there's nothing I can do, that it's hopeless, that no matter what I try, it won't work. And as I was reading about this the other day, it really made me think, wow, this is what's happening with us when it comes to our relationship with food, the weight loss journey, trying to eat better, trying to improve our health. I think that so many of us have come to a place of learned helplessness. right? We've tried everything. We've been swimming in the tank, or we've been trying to flip all the dials, and nothing seems to work. We've tried so many things, so many diets, so many programs, so many weight loss, whatever, bars, shakes, gym memberships. We feel like we've tried everything, and nothing ever sticks long term. We can never stick with anything consistently. And so there's this horrible feeling of learned helplessness. The interesting thing about the experiment, though, there is a happy ending here. And it is that when again, this doesn't work with the rats because we can't communicate with the rats, but with the humans that were in the room where they could not turn off the noise and where they experienced this learned helplessness and they just gave up. When, after all this was said and done, researchers sat them down and explained to them what had happened in the experiment, that the experiment had actually been rigged, that there actually was no way for them to turn off the sound, everything changes. Once they recognize, once they are exposed to the idea, and once they embrace the idea that this was rigged, that there was nothing they could have done, that the dials they were given were useless, everything changes. Then they start to then dopamine increases in the brain, and this learned helplessness dissipates, and they realize that, oh, okay, that was a specific event. That situation was rigged. I still can make change. I still can have agency over my life. There is still hope. And so it just got me thinking about how the fact that this is the problem with our current diet culture, with the current systems that we've been taught. It's rigged, right? The way that we have been taught to lose weight, to stay on track with healthy eating, to create a healthy lifestyle, these old systems, these old models of just have more willpower, of deprivation, right? Like, just don't eat that, don't eat carbs, don't eat sugar, don't eat this, right? Like, making things off limits. This old system of weighing and measuring and counting and all of these things. These old models don't work. The game is rigged. And I think that there's great power that comes from really recognizing that, right? Just like scientists have experienced this with subjects. Once the fact that the game is rigged is illuminated for them, they realize that, oh, it wasn't me. It's not that I don't have control. It's not that I am helpless. It's that what I was given to work with didn't work. And that's exactly what that's the place we need to get to when it comes to our relationship with food, right? That what we've been trying, what we've been told, the bill of goods we've been sold does not work. These old methods of deprivation, of dieting, of you just need to be stronger, you just need more willpower, you just need to find the motivation, it's rigged. It doesn't work. These things work in complete contrast to what we know now about how the human brain is wired, right? Your brain does not respond to these things. You might be able to hang on for a day or a few days maybe, but you are eventually going to go right back to your old habits and patterns. And it's not because you're helpless. It's not because you lack the ability to do this. It's not because you're not the kind of person who sticks with things consistently. That is not the case. What has happened is you have been given a set of tools. You have been told to use a set of tools that do not work. That's all it is. The game has been rigged. So to me, that sounds frustrating and maybe a little maddening and infuriating, but to me, that comes with great power, right? Then you realize, oh, okay, this isn't about me. This old model is what I have to get rid of. I can do this if I have the right tools. And as many of you know, the tools that not only that I believe in, but that I teach through the consistent momentum method and that are backed up by the latest in neuroscience and psychology, is that we have to go deeper under the surface and we have to start working with the way your brain is already wired, right? The consistent momentum method helps you use and master tools like mindfulness and visualization and habit design and self-compassion and self-care, so that now we're not fighting our brain. We are working with the way our brain is wired, and these tools work for that reason, right? The game is no longer rigged. Now you are playing a game that you can actually win. And that's why I'm so passionate about this work and about teaching these tools to my students, is because the old method is rigged. The old method doesn't work, and it has created this feeling in us of learned helplessness. And that's not a place where we want to be. We want to take back control. We want to take back agency over our lives. And the way we do that is by approaching this in a different way, right? And that's what the consistent momentum method and what I teach through my Change Your Brain, Change Your Body program and in the Consistency Club. That's what we do, right? We teach these tools and we help you learn these consistency skills so that you can start working with the way your brain is naturally wired rather than against it. So you're no longer playing a rigged game. You're playing a game that you can actually succeed at and win at. And that is so much more empowering and leaves you not feeling helpless, but rather feeling empowered and strong and confident and really excited about what's ahead. So think about that. Think about the soggy rat. Think about where you might be experiencing some learned helplessness in your life and in your relationship with food and maybe other areas as well, and how you can start playing a different game. All right? Talk to you soon. Bye.